I came home later than usual that evening, exhausted from a long shift at work. The house was dark except for the dim glow of the living room lamp. Something felt off. And then I saw her. My wife, Lisa, was sprawled out on the couch, completely unclothed, a half-empty wine bottle dangling from her fingers. The smell of alcohol filled the air. I rushed to her side, shaking her gently. "Lisa, wake up. What's going on?" Her eyes fluttered open, and she let out a lazy, drunken laugh. "Today's a special day," she slurred, flashing a smirk that sent a chill down my spine. I frowned, ignoring the sinking feeling in my gut. "Let's get you to bed. We'll talk about this later," I said, carefully lifting her up and carrying her toward our room. But just as I reached the bed, she grabbed my wrist, her grip surprisingly firm. "No, wait," she said, her voice dripping with amusement. I turned back to face her, and that's when she delivered the words that would shatter everything. "Today, my boss had me in our bed, and it was amazing." The room spun. My breath caught in my throat. "What did you just say?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. She smirked again, eyes gleaming with cruel satisfaction. "You heard me. By the way, my boss has a huge Johnson, and he knows exactly how to use it perfectly." For a moment, I couldn't move. Then something inside me snapped. Lisa thought she had won. She thought I would break down, beg, maybe even fight for her. But I wasn't going to give her that satisfaction. No, my revenge would be swift, merciless, and absolute. As I stood there, frozen in shock, Lisa's words echoed in my head like a death sentence. "Today, my boss had me in our bed, and it was amazing." I looked at her. This woman I had once loved more than anything in the world. The woman I had given my heart to. The woman I believed would stand by my side forever. But forever? That was just a lie. I wasn't always this man, the one plotting his revenge in silence. Once, I was just a guy who had fallen hopelessly in love with a girl at a birthday party. The beginning. Love at first sight. I still remember the night I met Lisa. It was at my best friend's birthday party. The music was loud, the drinks were flowing, and the laughter was endless. And then, in the middle of it all, I saw her. Lisa. She was standing by the bar, her golden hair cascading over her shoulders, eyes filled with mischief as she laughed at something her friend said. I was mesmerized. I don't remember walking up to her. I just remember wanting to know her. "Hey," I said, raising my glass. "Mind if I buy you a drink?" She turned to me, one eyebrow raised, amusement dancing on her lips. "That depends. Are you just another guy trying to hit on me, or do you actually have something interesting to say?" I grinned. "That depends. Do you always interrogate potential suitors, or do you sometimes take a leap of faith?" She laughed. And just like that, we clicked. The weeks that followed were a whirlwind. We were inseparable. Late-night phone calls, stolen kisses under streetlights, long road trips where we talked about our dreams. She was smart, funny, and confident. She had a way of making me feel like the most important person in the world. When I proposed to her 3 years later, she cried tears of joy. "Yes! 1,000 times yes!" she had screamed, throwing her arms around me. I believed we were destined for happiness. The marriage. Cracks beneath the surface. The first few years of our marriage were blissful. I worked hard, climbing the corporate ladder, making sure we had a good life. Lisa worked, too, but over time, she became restless. "You're always busy," she would say. You never have time for me anymore. I tried. I took her on vacation, surprised her with gifts, planned date nights. But something had shifted in her. She started coming home late, dressing differently, spending more time on her phone. And then, one day, she got a new job. She raved about her boss, about how ambitious and powerful he was. I didn't think much of it. But looking back now, that was the moment I started losing her. The present. The woman I no longer knew. I stared at Lisa now, lying in bed smirking like she had won. This wasn't the woman I had fallen in love with. This was a stranger, a betrayer. And in that moment, I knew. I wasn't going to beg. I wasn't going to cry. I was going to destroy her. I sat at the edge of the bed, staring at Lisa as she grinned, basking in her cruelty. The woman I had once loved, the woman who had once sworn to be mine, was now looking at me like a joke. You seem shocked, she teased, swirling the wine glass in her hand. Did you really think I'd stay loyal forever? My hands clenched into fists, but I kept my voice even. Why him? She sighed dramatically, stretching like a cat. Oh, come on. You had to see this coming. You're always working, always distracted. And then there's my boss. He's strong, confident, and knows exactly what he wants. Unlike you. The words cut deep, but I refused to show it. How long? I asked, my voice devoid of emotion. Lisa smirked, tilting her head as if deciding whether or not to tell me the truth. 6 months, she said finally. 6 months. I felt my stomach churn. The late nights, the secret phone calls, the sudden change in how she dressed. It had all been right in front of me, and I was too blind to see it. And our bed? I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. Lisa's smirk widened. More than once. He loves how soft it is. We both do. I swallowed the rage threatening to consume me whole. She wanted me to explode. She wanted to see me break. But I wouldn't give her the satisfaction. Not yet. I should have known from the way Lisa glowed when she talked about her boss, Daniel Carter. He's so driven, she had gushed over dinner one night. Everyone respects him. He owns the room the second he walks in. I had thought nothing of it. At first, it was just long hours at work, then late-night office drinks, then weekend business trips. Every excuse was perfectly reasonable, perfectly rehearsed. But what Lisa really loved about Daniel, he was a man who commanded attention, who made people want him. And Lisa, my wife, had fallen under his spell. But the truth? Daniel didn't love Lisa. To him, she was just another conquest. A married woman he could control, a plaything he could use and discard. Lisa thought she had won, that she had traded me in for a better life, but she had no idea what was coming. Because if Daniel Carter was playing a game, he was about to find out that I was better at it. Lisa had made her choice. Now, it was my turn. And I was going to take everything from her. Lisa had no idea what she had just done. As she lay there, smirking, satisfied with herself, she believed she had broken me, that I would either beg for her love or storm out in defeat. She expected rage, she expected tears, but what she didn't expect, cold calculation. I took a deep breath, forcing my expression into neutrality. I see, I said, my voice eerily calm. Lisa blinked, as if confused by my lack of reaction. That's it, she scoffed. No yelling? No threats? I shook my head, standing up. No, Lisa, I said softly. You made your choice. Now I'm going to make mine. Something flickered in her eyes. Uncertainty. And for the first time, she hesitated. But it was too late. I walked out of the bedroom and into my home office, shutting the door behind me. My hands trembled. Not with sadness, but with adrenaline. Lisa thought she had won, but I was about to burn her world to the ground. I opened my laptop, pulling up my financial accounts. We had a joint savings account, a sizable one, thanks to my careful planning over the years. Lisa had no idea how much was truly in it, but I did. And by the time she woke up tomorrow, it would all be gone. Revenge wasn't just about leaving, it was about destroying her. I grabbed my phone and started pulling up everything. Bank statements, credit card purchases, phone records. Anything that could show where she had been and what she had done. And then I found the jackpot. A receipt for a luxury hotel suite, booked under Daniel Carter's name, with Lisa listed as the second guest. By morning, Lisa would wake up to an empty house, an empty bank account, and a ruined reputation. She had spent 6 months playing me for a fool. Now, I was about to teach her what it felt like to lose everything. As I packed my bags, I allowed myself a small smile. This wasn't just revenge, this was justice. Lisa woke up hungover and groggy, stretching lazily in bed. She reached out for me, probably expecting me to still be there, broken, desperate, begging. But the bed was cold, empty. She sat up, frowning. "Babe?" she called out. No response. Her head throbbed as she dragged herself to the bathroom, splashing cold water on her face. That's when she noticed it. The eerie silence in the house. Something felt wrong. She wrapped a robe around herself and wandered into the living room. Her heart pounded when she saw my office door wide open. She never saw me leave it open. A bad feeling crawled up her spine as she walked in. My desk was empty. No laptop, no documents, no personal belongings. And then she saw it. A single note placed right where my laptop used to be. She picked it up with shaky hands. "Lisa, you chose him, so I chose me. Check your bank account." "Oh, wait, you can't." Her breath hitched. She rushed to the kitchen counter, snatching her phone and pulling up our bank app. Her face drained of color. The joint account. Empty. Her personal account. Frozen. Her credit cards. Declined. Panic clawed at her throat as she started frantically dialing my number. Straight to voicemail. She ran to the closet, yanking the doors open. My side was completely cleared out. Her fingers trembled as she texted me, "Where are you? What did you do?" No reply. She swallowed hard and tried to call me again. Voicemail. Again. Voicemail. "No, no, no," she muttered, pacing back and forth. "This isn't happening." And then it hit her like a sledgehammer. I was gone. Not just for the night. For good. A taste of her own medicine. Lisa started hyperventilating. She needed help. She needed him. Her fingers flew across the screen as she called Daniel Carter. He answered on the third ring. "Lisa?" he mumbled, groggy and half asleep. "Daniel, I need you," she cried. "It's an emergency." A long pause, then his tone shifted. "Lisa, it's 6 a.m. My wife is right next to me. I can't talk." She froze. Your wife?" "Yeah. Look, whatever it is, handle it yourself. Don't call me again." Click. The line went dead. Lisa stared at her phone, shocked, shaking, betrayed. The man she had thrown her marriage away for had just tossed her aside like garbage. And for the first time, it hit her. She hadn't just lost her husband. She had lost everything. Lisa sat on the couch, her hands gripping her phone so tightly her knuckles turned white. This wasn't real. This couldn't be happening. Her eyes darted around the house, our house, but now it felt foreign, unfamiliar, empty. I was gone. Her money was gone. And worst of all, Daniel Carter had abandoned her. She had thrown away her marriage for a man who didn't even have the decency to pick up her call in private. And now, she had nothing. Her breath hitched as she typed out a message to me. Lisa, please, we need to talk. I made a mistake. I was drunk. I didn't mean it. Delivered. But no reply. She sent another. Lisa, I love you. Please don't do this. We can fix this. Nothing. Panic clawed at her chest. Think, Lisa. Think, she muttered to herself, pacing back and forth. She needed to find me. She needed to fix this. She tried calling my workplace. They told her I had quit. She called my best friend, Jake. Straight to voicemail. She even drove to my parents' house, but they slammed the door in her face. She was blocked from everywhere. That's when it hit her. I hadn't just left her. I had erased myself from her life completely. And for the first time, she felt the fear creeping in. Desperate, Lisa tried reaching out to her friends for support. But something had changed. They weren't comforting her. They weren't sympathetic. They weren't on her side. And then she found out why. Someone had leaked screenshots of her messages with Daniel Carter, hotel receipts, chat logs, even the humiliating voice message from the night before. It was all over Facebook. Her coworkers saw it. Her family saw it. Her entire social circle knew. People she once called friends were commenting, "Wow, Lisa, you really destroyed your marriage for that? Karma's a bitch, huh? Your husband was too good for you." Lisa's breathing turned shallow as she scrolled through the comments, her reputation crumbling before her eyes. She tried calling Daniel again. Blocked. She texted her best friend, Claire. "Lisa, please tell me you don't believe all that crap online. I need someone to talk to." Claire. "Lisa." "I saw the messages. You did this to yourself. Don't contact me again." Lisa dropped her phone. It was over. She was alone. And finally, she understood. She had betrayed the one person who truly loved her. And in return, she lost everything. Lisa sat in her darkened living room, the glow from her phone screen illuminating her tear-streaked face. She had spent the last 2 days desperately trying to track me down, but every attempt ended in failure. Blocked, ignored, forgotten. Her life was unraveling faster than she could control. Her job, hanging by a thread after her affair with her boss, became public knowledge. Her reputation, destroyed. Even her own family refused to take her calls. Her lover, vanished. Daniel Carter wasn't answering her messages, and from what she heard, his wife had kicked him out. He was dealing with his own mess. Lisa had only one option left: beg me in person. She found out from a mutual acquaintance that I had rented a small condo in another part of town. No address, but a general area. Desperate, she drove around for hours, checking every apartment complex, every street, every possible place I could be. And then she saw me. I was walking out of a cafe, smiling, looking relaxed, looking happy. Lisa's heart clenched. I had moved on, but she wasn't ready to give up. She slammed her car door shut and ran across the street, calling my name. "Wait! Please." I turned, my face unreadable as I watched her approach. She looked awful. Dark circles under her eyes, hair unkempt, a shadow of the woman I once knew. She grabbed my arm, desperation in her eyes. "Please, talk to me," she whispered, her voice breaking. "I made a mistake. I was drunk. I wasn't thinking." "You can't just walk away from 20 years of marriage." I pulled my arm away, calm and collected. "Lisa," I said evenly, "you walked away first. The moment you chose him, you lost me." Tears streamed down her face. I didn't mean it. I was stupid. Please, we can fix this. I love you. I sighed, shaking my head. No anger, no hatred, just cold indifference. Love? I scoffed. You don't betray someone you love, Lisa. You made your choice. Now live with it. Her breathing hitched. Please, I can't lose you. I stared at her for a long moment before speaking. You already did. And with that, I turned and walked away, leaving Lisa alone, broken and drowning in the consequences of her own actions. Lisa stood frozen on the sidewalk, watching as I walked away without a single glance back. The finality of it crashed over her like a tidal wave. She had lost me. Forever. Her legs wobbled and she had to steady herself against a lamppost. How did it come to this? 20 years of marriage, gone. Her reputation, ruined. Her lover, vanished. And me? I was thriving. In the following weeks, Lisa's life fell apart even faster. Her affair had destroyed her standing at work. Her boss, Daniel Carter, was fired for misconduct, and Lisa was forced to resign. No company wanted to touch someone with a scandal attached to their name. Financially, she was bleeding. I had drained our joint bank accounts, leaving her with nothing but her personal savings, barely enough to survive. She had to sell the house we had built together, the home filled with memories of a life she threw away. Lisa tried to reach out to old friends, but no one wanted anything to do with her. Even her family had distanced themselves, ashamed of the way she had destroyed her marriage. The silence was suffocating. Nights were the worst. She would sit alone in a tiny one-bedroom apartment, scrolling through old photos, rereading my last messages, replaying the moment I walked away. She drank too much, cried too often, and every morning she woke up to the same unbearable truth. She had done this to herself. While Lisa crumbled, I flourished. I took my money, moved to a new city, and started fresh. A new job, new friends, a life free from betrayal. For the first time in years, I felt peace. One evening, while enjoying dinner with a new group of friends, I got a text from an unknown number. Lisa, I miss you. Please, just talk to me. Just once. I stared at the message for a moment, and then I deleted it. No response, no second chances. Lisa was nothing more than a ghost of my past, and I had a whole new future waiting for me.